I used to think love meant walking on eggshells, not because I wanted it that way, but because that's the only kind of love I had ever known. When I was younger, love was loud, unpredictable, one day warm, the next day gone. I learned to tiptoe through conversations, to read faces like weather patterns, to prepare for the moment someone changed their tone or left entirely. I learned that love meant bracing myself, bracing for the silent treatment, bracing for the guilt trips, bracing for the feeling that maybe I was just too much or never enough. So when someone new came into my life, kind, gentle, patient, I didn't trust it. I wanted to. But something deep inside whispered, "Don't fall for it. It's just another illusion." They didn't play games. They didn't make me question my worth. They didn't reward my silence or punish my honesty. And yet that scared me more than anything, because love, at least the kind I had been taught, was about earning your place, keeping the peace, performing for approval. And suddenly, here was someone who didn't want the performance. They just stayed, and that terrified me. I'd look for reasons to pull back, to sabotage it. I told myself, maybe they're pretending, maybe they'll get tired of me, maybe this isn't real. But over and over again, they proved me wrong, not through grand gestures, but through small moments that felt strangely revolutionary, like saying, "Take your time, I'm here." Or not needing me to explain why I was overwhelmed, just holding space for it, or gently asking, "Are you okay?" and actually meaning it. That's when something shifted. I started to wonder, what if love wasn't supposed to feel like survival? What if it was meant to feel like safety? But if you've been through attachment trauma, you'll understand, recognizing real love is harder than it sounds. It's not because we don't want it. It's because we're not sure what it even looks like. That's what this story is about. The 5 moments that helped me realize I wasn't in another trauma bond. I was finally safe. You know what's strange? Even when things were going well, I didn't feel at peace. I felt on alert, like I was waiting for the other shoe to drop. I'd overthink every text. I'd replay every word I said. If they didn't respond quickly, I'd spiral. Did I say something wrong? Are they losing interest? Is this the moment they decide I'm not worth it? And here's the thing, they hadn't done anything wrong. They were consistent. They were kind. But my nervous system didn't care, because for people like me, people who have lived through emotional neglect, criticism, or instability, calm doesn't always feel safe. Sometimes calm feels suspicious. I had been trained by past experiences to associate love with anxiety, to confuse emotional highs and lows with passion, to think that if something felt too easy, it couldn't possibly be real. My therapist once told me, when love feels like survival, it's not love, it's familiarity. That hit hard, because I realized I wasn't seeking love. I was seeking familiarity, even if it hurt, even if it drained me. At least I knew the rules. In a strange way, the drama of unhealthy love felt more comfortable than the stillness of something safe. So when I met someone who wasn't chaotic, I didn't know how to handle it. They didn't yell. They didn't withdraw to punish me. They didn't need me to earn their care. Instead, they saw me, the real me, anxious, unsure, slow to trust, and they didn't run. They stayed. And that's when I started to see it clearly. The reason I struggled to recognize healthy love was because I had only known the kind that made me feel like I was constantly fighting for air. But love is not meant to feel like survival. It's meant to feel like breathing. Still, I needed something more than just reassurance. I needed signs, real, grounded indicators, something to help me know this wasn't another trauma loop, that I could finally exhale. And that's what came next, 5 moments that changed everything. There was no single moment where everything clicked. It happened slowly, quietly, in small interactions that felt different from anything I had known before. Looking back, there were 5 signs, 5 green flags that told me this love was safe. Not perfect, not fantasy, but healing. One, slow and steady. I was used to rushing, falling fast, getting attached quickly and calling it love, but this time it moved at a different pace. When I got overwhelmed and pulled away, they didn't panic. They didn't accuse me of being distant or dramatic. They just said, "It's okay. Take your time. I'm here." No pressure, no manipulation. They were patient. And that patience helped me breathe. It showed me that love doesn't have to chase. It can wait, too, cool-headed in conflict. Anger used to terrify me. I had seen it used to punish, to control, to silence. So when we disagreed, I braced myself. But instead of yelling, they paused and said, "I need a moment to collect my thoughts." No slammed doors, no guilt trips. Even when they were upset, they stayed kind. And if they ever slipped and said something sharp, they owned it. They said, "I'm sorry. That wasn't fair." That kind of accountability felt like a miracle to me because it told me I wasn't dealing with someone who needed to win. I was with someone who cared about repair. 3. They let me be myself. I spent most of my life shape-shifting to be liked. I said yes when I meant no. I hid the parts of me I thought were too much. But this time I didn't have to shrink. I remember saying, "I've been thinking about signing up for an art class," and instead of brushing it off, they lit up. They said, "That sounds amazing. When do you start?" They didn't just allow my independence, they celebrated it. They made space for my growth, not because it benefited them, but because it lit me up, and that made me feel seen. 4. Boundaries were safe. Saying no used to come with a cost. I thought setting boundaries would push people away. But the first time I said, "I'm feeling drained, I need some time alone," they didn't flinch. They replied, of course, "Let me know if you need anything." No pouting, no passive-aggressive silence, just respect. They didn't treat my needs as an inconvenience. They treated them as information, a window into how to love me better. 5. Conflict felt like collaboration. Fighting used to feel like war, but now when things got tense, they didn't attack me. They said, "Let's figure this out together." They focused on the problem, not on proving me wrong. They didn't bring up old wounds. They didn't use my insecurities against me. They listened, really listened. Even when we didn't agree, I never felt alone in the conflict. It wasn't me versus them. It was us versus the issue, and that changed everything. These 5 moments weren't loud. They were subtle, gentle, consistent, and that's why they were powerful. They taught me that love isn't supposed to leave you guessing. It's supposed to show up, day after day. It's supposed to make you feel safe enough to stop performing, to stop shrinking, to finally rest, not just your body, but your heart. Healing didn't just happen because someone loved me well. It happened because I chose to meet that love halfway. At first, I didn't know how. I kept waiting for the moment everything would fall apart. But over time, I realized safe love is something you learn to recognize, and also something you can learn to give. So I began practicing. The first thing I practiced was pausing before reacting. Whenever my mind spiraled with stories like, "They're losing interest," or "They must be mad at me," I didn't act on it immediately. Instead, I sat with the discomfort. I asked myself, is this fear or fact? Most of the time, it was fear. Fear from old wounds. Fear from people who once made love conditional. The second thing I practiced was naming my needs, not dropping hints, not waiting to explode. Just saying, "I need some time to myself." Lors, that comment hurt me. Can we talk about it? It felt scary at first, but every time I expressed something honestly and they responded with care, it rewired something in me. The third thing I practiced was not taking their calm for indifference. I used to think love meant intensity, big emotions, big reactions, but now I know that steadiness is not apathy. It's security. It means I don't have to fight to matter. I also made space for their boundaries. Love isn't one-sided. If I wanted to be respected, I had to learn how to respect too. When they needed space or said no to something, I didn't take it as rejection. I took it as a chance to grow trust. And finally, I practiced gratitude, not just for them, but for how far I'd come, for every moment I didn't panic, for every time I stayed instead of running. For every boundary I honored, theirs and mine. Loving safely means showing up for yourself too. It means saying, I'm worthy of this. It means refusing to abandon yourself, even when you're afraid. Because the truth is, love doesn't heal you, but how you show up in love can. And when you've spent your whole life surviving, learning how to love safely is one of the bravest things you'll ever do. If no one has told you this before, let me be the one to say it. You are not too broken to love. You are not too much. You are not too late. I used to believe I was. I thought love had to hurt, that it had to be earned. That if someone really saw the anxious, messy, guarded parts of me, they would walk away. But they didn't, and more importantly, I didn't either. I stopped walking away from myself. Healing didn't happen overnight. There were still days I spiraled, still nights I doubted, still moments I wanted to run just because safety felt unfamiliar. But the difference now is I stay. I stay with myself, and I stay with the people who choose to love gently. If you've lived through attachment trauma, love might always feel like a question, but real love will never make you feel like an interrogation. It will not ask you to prove your worth every day. It will not punish your boundaries. It will not make you feel like loving you is a burden. It will be kind. It will be steady. It will be patient when you need time. It will celebrate when you grow. It will listen when you're afraid. And most importantly, it will feel like coming home to yourself. So keep looking for the green flags, not just in others, but in how you choose to love too, because safe love is not only possible, it's what you deserve. Take this as a sign you're not just surviving anymore. You're learning how to receive something better, something real, something healing, and that is how you know it's finally safe to love. Speech balloon, which part of this story resonated with you the most? Leave a comment below. I'd love to hear how you're learning to love safely too. Bell subscribe to High Day Psych for more stories like this, real, reflective, and rooted in healing. You matter, you're not alone, and you're doing